It's about 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023. It was sprinkling a very tiny bit this morning. We got less than a quarter inch of rain over the past few days. The ground is damp though, it's moist. You know, my pants are moist too. I think it's like 68, 70 degrees with pretty decent humidity. The cows are coming. I was supposed to move them last night to a new section. I was not feeling well. I don't know if it was the allergies or just whatever it was, but I had to throw on the hat and just take a rest day. Haven't had one of those for quite a while. Anyway, so I'm giving them a double cell this Tuesday morning. They're supposed to be here Monday evening. Whoa! Come on. They're coming. They're just taking their time. So that's about a quarter mile away. So they're probably like 800 feet away when I first called them. While they come, I'll kind of show you a couple stories that are unfolding here at the ranch. Number one, I saw some baby grasshoppers, a bunch of them, when I was laying out the wire across there. There's a bunch of baby grasshoppers. That's not a good sign. I was hoping the grasshoppers wouldn't do well. So we'll probably get tons of grasshoppers this year. Number two, I'm seeing goatweed everywhere. A lot of it. I believe, no, that's probably not goatweed. That probably is right there. And number three is I'm seeing, in this area especially, lots of this horsenettle. This is goatweed. This is 100% goatweed. Right there. So yeah, I'm seeing that growing everywhere. Some places it's growing quite thickly. It's just the ground is covered with it. The goal is to get the grass to outcompete the weeds. But in some places that's just not working. So you can tell around here, around the water, there's just tons of this horsenettle. This stuff is poisonous for cows and horses. But they won't eat it unless there's no food. So they have plenty of food here, so they should be fine. Whoa! Don't stop halfway, guys. Come on. You're almost there. Whoa! There's the two sheep that are in the pen where I want them, so I can keep them separate from the cows. I want to put the dogs with them. The dogs are over there. You can see the dogs in a pen there. Whoa! My daughter said that she went in the pen with the sheep and the lamb came up to her and she was allowed to pet him. So maybe I just smell bad or something. I'm walking on the cattle trail they built. It's almost exactly a foot wide. They won't be using this anymore. Not for another week and a half at least, right? Whoa! They're all coming. They're just taking their time. I do see lots of green grass coming out of the ground. This is 100%. This is Bermuda grass. Or Bahia, it was probably Bermuda. You see there's some tiny clovers too. But yeah, we're seeing the summer grass coming pretty strong. Hey Red, look at her hooves, they're all polished from the water. Hey, Mr. Bull. Number 24. Well, she has a slicker coat, but she's still pretty skinny. 20. 20 used to be a skinny cow. 21 has always been my fatty. There's 19. Number 11. Should get bred this year. I'm gonna see what kind of calf you give me. Come on. Whoa! Why are you guys scared of me? Let me get out of the way. There's the ram. Come on. Metal tag. The Charolais are just big. Look at that calf. Bigger than number 6 there. There's a young bull. Whoa! Come on! Now you guys are crazy. I'm gonna go in the next area then. If you're not gonna come. You guys are straggling behind for no reason. I want to close up the fence and go home so I can get to the trailer. Start selling food. How to pin up the sheep. Oh, look at all this nice tall green grass here. There's a butterfly. Bull's making bull noises. That's a neighbor's young bull. He's over there making noises. The forecast for today is rain, but not much, like 1/8 of an inch. We're probably not going to get rain for another week and a half. So, look at that cow's eating the dock. Just taking the leaves off of it. I think those leaves are edible. If you eat it and get sick, it's not my fault, because you shouldn't be listening to me about things like that. I'm not an expert. Here comes the last cow. All right, now I can close it off. All right. Well, there's not much more to say. About a week ago, put up a video where I talked about how if I don't vaccinate and use antibiotics and stuff, I might see less gains, right? I think what I mean by that, let me just explain what I mean by that rather than I think, is like if I were to vaccinate, I'd get like what, 2%, 5% better gains. You know, there's drawbacks to it too. I do expect the cows to be healthier if I keep them in a clean environment and keep them rotating than they would be if I vaccinated and gave them antibiotics in a dirty environment. I think that's true, 100% true. It's better to keep them in a clean environment than to rely on vaccines and medicines to keep them healthy in a dirty environment. There's that calf playing with the sheep again. That's the point, is that if I keep them in a clean environment, then the vaccines and the antibiotics actually have a drawback, because and when you start covering up the weaknesses in the stock of your cows, or rather when you stop allowing the cows to develop their strengths, their resistances, then you're setting yourself up for future failure. Right now, like breeding goats, if you raise goats, you know that you have to like keep like 3 different kinds of dewormers on hand because goats are so sensitive to the worms. Well, you know, sheep can be that way too. If you constantly dewormed them, you wouldn't allow the sheep that are resistant to those worms to take advantage of their benefit. You know, those sheep that are resistant to worms will pass on their genetics more. They're more likely to pass on their genetics to the next generation. This isn't natural selection. It's obviously guided selection. You know, a sheep that doesn't give me as many lambs as another sheep, when I start tracking that, it's not going to stay on the farm as long as a sheep that does. You know, same thing for the heifers and the cows. If a cow doesn't give me a good calf, you know, I'm going to get rid of the cow. Eventually, there just won't be a place for it. Right now, I'm trying to grow the herd, so it's kind of different strategy I'm employing. But so by selectively breeding the animals that do well in your environment, you should be able to eliminate the necessity for those medications. The other thing is diet and exercise, right? If you go to the doctor and he says, here, take this pill, and you say, Doc, I don't want to take pills. How do I get better? He says, diet and exercise, right? You got to change what you eat and you got to change what you do. You got to change your habits. You got to build up your physical strength. You got to build up your bone density. You know, there's just no other way, really. The medication just covers up a bigger problem, that's underlying cause. Like if you're eating like crap and you get sick and you take a pill and you feel better and you keep eating like crap, that's not going to last very long. You know, you got to eat healthy food. You got to exercise too. If you don't exercise and you get like surgeries and medications and prosthetic devices to cover up for the fact that you don't exercise, you know, the doctor's not fixing your problem. He's allowing the problem to continue. You know, a wise doctor, and nobody wants a wise doctor. You know, you watch Dr. House on TV and we laugh at him. You know, it's funny when he tells the truth. But a wise doctor will tell you that you're killing yourself. You need to stop doing those things or start doing these things instead. You know, and eliminating the cause of the disease is way better than getting a disease and curing it. So my goal is not to cover up problems in my practices. If like my rotational practices in my field are giving my cows worms, then I need to change my practices. The cows need to change their habits. You know, if they're susceptible to worms because they're genetically weak or there's something else going on that they can't survive on grass, they need feed and they need like supplements that I can't provide for them, and they got to get out of here. I can't use them. You know, let some other farmer raise them with different practices. You know, so that's kind of the thought here. Like old number 24 here, if she can't thrive on this grass while the other cows do, then 24 is gone. You know, if it's just the fact that she has a Charolais calf that's milking her dry every day, you know, then, and she's sacrificing her body for her calf, well, that might be an advantage. That might be something that, you know, I would look forward to if she's going to raise better calves than another cow that looks better. Like 21 gave me a calf that died, right, a couple days later. I don't know if it's 21's fault or my fault, but I blame the fire that happened around the time that the calf was born. But anyway, so 21 is looking nice and fat and decent. 24 is looking thin. Which would I rather keep? The one that gives me a good, strong, healthy calf, or the one that this calf has died? You know, it's pretty obvious the answer there. You know, so I can't just look at a cow and say like, oh, that's the condition of my herd. I have to look at the product that comes out. You know, hopefully, eventually, next year, I'm going to get a bunch of calves. I'm going to take the bulls, probably keep them as bulls for a year, and then snip some of them and then eat them. You know, I'm going to taste them myself, and if the flavor's good, if the condition is nice, then that'll be my operation. I'll be raising and selling steer, you know, from my land. And if the meat doesn't taste good, then I'm going to rethink everything. You know, I'm going to start with the genetics of the herd. I'm going to start with my feeding practices. If it turns out that I can't sustain cattle on grass and produce something that tastes good, then I'll just have to go feed. You know, fatten up the steer on feed. You know, that's a tried and true method. If I can finish them on grass, there's a guy in this area that does. He finishes them on Bermuda grass. He uses rotational practices. That's why I'm doing a 21-day rotation at his recommendation. Of course, he has a different genetic stock. You know, he uses a lot of Thule. I don't have any Thule. You know, but the point is that if I don't get the product I want out of what I'm doing, then I change my practices, change the animals, and I try something else, you know. So, and I'm not going to expect to go to the vet and say, hey, my beef tastes bad, give me a pill to make the beef taste good, you know. It's not going to work. And so that's why vaccines and antibiotics are not really part of my strategy right now. And they probably never will be. If it turns out that after all attempts to run cattle on this land with different breeds and different practices doesn't work, you know, and then I'd have to use vaccines and antibiotics and stuff. I don't believe that's true because other people aren't, you know. So I think that it's just a matter of me discovering the right formula for that. That's my goal, is to find that formula. And if I find the right formula and then somebody comes to me and points out to me using scientific evidence that, you know, if I did vaccinate and use antibiotics, I can increase my yields by 2% or 5%, you know, and I'm going to say, nah, it's not worth it, you know. So, you know, I'm not looking for marginal gains. I'm looking for my happiness and the cow's happiness. That's kind of the point. Anyway, another long rant there. So I got to get going, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.